see a lot of friendly faces here and familiar faces. I'm Vito Gallo. I'm serving as chairman of the Union County Housing Advocacy Team. This is the fourth in a series of annual events that we've been holding in Union County. We've been moving about the county. Last year we were in Westfield at attractive senior housing. We were in a county college building in Elizabeth the year before, and the year before we did the Odyssey from Plainfield to Keyport via Summit, which took us on the road. It's a big county, you can get in a bus and try to move around. And it's a diverse county. And yet, despite the diversity of the county, I can tell you, as someone who's been in the housing business for about 40 years, that there isn't a town in this county that doesn't have affordable housing needs. And it isn't struggling with common issues. Whether we're talking about rental housing or affordable housing in general, or the foreclosure crisis, which is the subject of today's hearing, we're all in this boat together. I've been teaching housing policy at the Lesniak School in my dotage since I retired a few years ago. And I can tell you that there are issues that transcend Union County that we're dealing with, whether it's the exclusionary zoning issue, which has been such a struggle here in Union County, or the foreclosure crisis, or urban redevelopment issues. And the one common thread, and the reason why you're here, and I thank you for coming, is it always comes down to what happens at the local level. We can talk about these regional issues or national issues or housing crisis, but if the issues are going to be addressed, they're going to be addressed by people like you in this room who work in local government, who have to kind of sweep up after the parade sometimes and address the issues that are caused by racial exclusion or lack of credit availability or predatory lending or any one of these issues that makes the front page of the New York Times. But all politics is local. And it depends on you as local officials being prepared to address these issues, being knowledgeable in what tools are available. And we're going to be talking about some of the tools that you can use that will assist you in dealing with particularly with foreclosure and abandonment problems, which is the subject of the hearing, the forum today. I should thank Terry Reed, who's just standing about the seat. Our casa is Sukasa, I guess.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for Terry's with Community Investment Strategies. They are the owners and managers of this tax credit facility, and we appreciate your hosting it. We'd like to go to housing sites around the county to showcase the kinds of buildings we have. Before I go anywhere, I should tell you that you don't have a lot of paper in front of you because we are in the internet age. And everything that we're going to discuss, every slide you're going to see, every presentation will be posted imminently on the Housing Community Development Network website, hcdnj.org. And if you go under what's new, you'll see Union County Housing Event. And so when you get back to your offices and homes and wherever you hide during the work week or even in the evenings and weekends, you can log on and refresh yourself and say, what was that tool that they were talking about? It's all there. It'll be there for at least several weeks, I guess. 2 weeks, I'm told. So it's perishable. But do take advantage of the technology that is here. Just very briefly, we have some very talented speakers here. The network, for those of you that are not familiar with the network, I can tell you two of the panelists sitting here are employees, leaders, the statewide Housing Community Development Network, and they are an amazing resource to those of us. There are 250 organizations, community development corporations, and housing groups and individuals and consultants all under this coalition, which is the Housing Community Development Network. And it's an educational tool and an advocacy tool, valuable resource to the legislature in setting policy agendas and moving legislation forward. With that, we have Rick Proctor there of Rahway here to welcome us. I can tell you Rick is a lifelong resident of Union County with a long career, professional career, and career in elective office, both here in the city of Rahway and on the County Board of Freeholders and beyond. Throughout New Jersey, he's worked in the health, professional health field as well. He's here to welcome us.
Thank you, Vito. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the city of Rahway. Appreciate having the opportunity to be the host here today, and I hope today after the program you take the opportunity to take a look downtown and avail yourselves of one of our local restaurants. We have a great variety of restaurants here with different types of food and different price marks, and we look forward to making you a Rahway fan and bring you back. I'd like to also welcome Senator Ray Lesniak, no stranger to the city of Rahway and certainly no stranger to affordable housing. And we have former council president Dave Brown here also. I guess Rahway really got into the affordable housing market in the late 60s. I think when we started the Rahway Housing Authority, one of our first programs was the Capobianco Plaza project, which is right out in the back over here. And all of our redevelopment efforts have been trying to provide affordable housing for seniors and low-income people as we moved along. Our redevelopment downtown and redevelopment here has also been a mix of market rate and affordable housing type of housing stock and projects, so that we can really appeal to all the different segments of our city. Back in the late 60s, since most of our housing is single-family housing, we started on a certificate of occupancy program, which at the time of sale, we would do an inspection of the home and bring the home up to just minimum housing code standards. Looked at the service, the electric service, looked at some plumbing, looked at the scrape and paint issues and things like that, in an effort to try to raise the quality of the housing stock. And after 40 years, that's paid off, because as you go around town, you'll find that almost every neighborhood has a high quality single-family or two-family housing that's available out there. There's a couple houses that are run down, but as those are sold and ownership is transferred, they're brought back up to code, and we're constantly renewing the housing stock that we have available. Our downtown, we're looking at new redevelopment plans where we're downsizing a little bit the size of the units that we're allowing to be constructed to try to attract in some of the younger, they used to be called yuppies, I don't know what they are now. dating me anyway, to try to bring them in to avail themselves of the art opportunities that we have, to capitalize on the transportation convenience that we have, and really just to try to bring these people in and then have them eventually graduate to single-family houses and remain residents of Rahway. You know, Rahway, like most municipalities, and Rahway residents, like most people, their single biggest investment is their home. It's their most valuable asset. The past few years, we have seen that the housing market has been depressed. Houses have lost their value. We're not unique. We probably didn't suffer as badly as some. I don't think Union County fared as badly as some counties in the state or even areas of the country. But everybody was still affected by the fact that their house value decreased. Foreclosed houses further drive down the housing market. If you take a look at, I've spoken to some realtors in the city, and they're optimistic that we seem to be on the cusp of a market revival. However, if you take a look at the sales, every Sunday we check the sales of the houses, and they're going from $350 to $150. there's a very wide range of house sales. I would say probably 10, maybe 15% of the homes we have are either in some way a distressed house, either on the going into foreclosure or been foreclosed. And these prices, these distressed properties are driving the housing markets down. The realtors need, when they're going to, if you have a single family house and you want to get the top dollar for it, you need to come up with comps at the point of sale that are going to support your price. The distressed housing prices are driving those prices down. What we're seeing now as a result of that are tax appeals. Last year we had about a 78% increase in tax appeals. We are facing this year even more tax appeals, which is driving down our rateable base, which is making the already difficult task of governing and providing services to the city within that 2% tax cap levy even more difficult because our income is being reduced. Banks were bailed out, but individuals and local governments were not. If we can remove every distressed house that is removed from the market, helps the market rebound. And that is where Senator Lesniak's bill comes in. I think is provides a point of optimism for me, that if we can convert these houses that are right now just being a drain on our local economy, if we can convert those into affordable housing, take them off the market, it will help everyone. It will help individuals with their regular home sales. It will help the municipality with their tax rates, and it will help the individuals that need housing. When I started in public health in 1972, my boss said that his prime focus in public health was on housing, bringing the housing stock of the city of Rahway up to code and to make it healthy and habitable. He said that you cannot have a healthy person if they do not have a healthy home. And right now, that I believe is the most critical need that we have. One addition I would ask the senator to consider in his bill would be that any of these houses that are taken as a result of as part of the program to make them affordable, that they not be allowed to be put into the comp basis. Because as a distressed house, they're not really part of the normal market. And if this way, if we could keep them from keep them out of the comp record, then we'll be able to bring up the housing, the prices of our houses, and make them more closer to what we actually pay to them. So with that, I will let you go. I'm sorry I can't spend the rest of the morning with you because it sounds like this is incredibly interesting, but I will be looking at the website and running through it. And again, I want to welcome you all to the city of Rahway. I hope you enjoy your stay. I hope you take a quick trip downtown. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor Proctor. I should note, Mayor Proctor and I were talking beforehand, in looking over the housing stock and some statistics on Rahway, I noted that Rahway as a percentage has the highest percentage of affordable housing of any town in Union County. It's like 8.3, 8.4%. So they've done a tremendous job with the Housing Authority, with buildings like this, the nonprofits. This is a community that has stepped to the plate. There are many others that have done hundreds of units, but Rahway has done an exceptional job in redevelopment and in housing. I thank him for coming out today. I should I neglected in welcoming, calling out that Assemblyman Green has sent his aide, Ms. Henry, am I saying it right?
Yes.
Here, Assemblyman Green chairs the Assembly Housing Committee. Has been a tremendous friend to the housing community and to the network, certainly. Arnold Cohen, you're coming next. Okay, I'll let Arnold, most of you probably know Arnold, but Arnold knows everything there is to know about what's going on in housing in the state. Arnold.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to see everybody here today. Really glad that you made it out. Hopefully you'll be learning and taking a lot back with you. It's really useful to your endeavors locally. My name is Arnold Cohen. I'm Policy Coordinator for the Housing Community Development Network. I want to talk to you about an initiative that the network's involved in that hopefully will be helping the kind of growth that we see here in Rahway in terms of taking advantage of rail, transit, and using that as a way to help development and help spur the economy. The network is part of a North Jersey Sustainable Communities Consortium. This is the Sustainability's community grants that come from HUD that are part of an initiative of the Obama administration. The North Jersey Consortium, which is comprised of the 13 northern Jersey counties, which obviously includes the county of Union, from Monmouth County north, and it includes 5 municipalities, Elizabeth being one of those 5 municipalities, Jersey City being another one. It's a $5 million 3-year grant that has come to this consortium to be able to help spur plans for economic growth near transit. And part of what we'll see is what's called local demonstration projects. There'll be 18 local demonstration projects that will be funded up to $100,000 to actually demonstrate how this kind of growth can be taking place in a good way that involves both the municipality and involves the local nonprofit community development corporations in the area. So it's creating that partnership to either further things like we see in Rahway around the arts community, housing, near transit, or whatever it is that each community wants. There'll be competitive grants, and we see this as an important effort to help spur the kind of work that you're all doing to make sure that growth is equitable. It really helps all economic levels take part in and benefit from what's happening in their communities, and their communities are taking advantage of the fact that we have this great rail system in this part of the state to see that kind of development near transportation. So we'll be letting you all know as this moves forward. Materials about this will be up on the website, but we see this as an exciting opportunity and one of the few new resources that we have coming into this region to help move things forward. Next, I want to talk about some of the things happening on a state level. We have the Housing Community Development Network off of the work that Diane will be talking about later to how to address abandoned properties in a municipality, has developed with those municipalities a land banking bill. This legislation is now in the State House. We hope all of you will be joining us on our lobby day on June 7th down at the State House to help further this and some initiatives that Senator Lesniak will be talking about to let our legislators know that they need to support the efforts of Assemblyman Green, Senator Lesniak on these issues. What the land banking bill will do will be to allow a municipality to work with a redevelopment entity within its area to be able to hold vacant, underutilized properties and be able to then plan for its best use. So those properties that are benefiting what those needs of your community are, whether it be that you need the whole properties to be able to have that supermarket that we need, or whether it's housing that's affordable to people in the community, but rather than have a speculator buy up properties as they become vacant, and maybe just hold them and not use them for what a community needs, it allows the community to really form its own destiny by having a land bank that then decides how they would like to see their municipality grow and develop. The critical issue before us in New Jersey today that Senator Lesniak will be talking further about is $275 million of funds that are supposed to be used to help create more diverse housing opportunities for people within the state. $200 million that were collected in municipal housing trust funds with the sole purpose of providing housing that's affordable, and $75 million that New Jersey has as part of the foreclosure settlement the national foreclosure settlement. The governor wants to take that $200 million and that $75 million and take it for his general budget to really fund his tax rate that, as we know, benefits a very small portion of New Jersey citizens who are those on the upper incomes. Senator Lesniak is the author of an excellent bill that the mayor was talking about earlier that will help make good, productive use of these funds. So it's my honor right now to introduce Senator Lesniak, who has been representing us in the state senate for almost 30 years now. 35. For all of us on these critical issues of helping New Jersey grow in a way that benefits all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate that very much. By the way, I'm going to be having lunch here in town, eating pierogi and gołąbki at the Polish restaurant. Good to see Louis Hurd here. Louis started with me, right?
Yes.
You tell everybody that, right, Diane?
I'm only 25.
I was a little older when he worked, when I was Democratic State Committee Chairman, and Louis was a prominent member of my staff. Boy, I wish I had good news for everybody today, but I'm glad to see you have this lobbying day. Number one, you hit the nail on the head. I don't, it's not my foreclosure bill that's the most important. What's the most important is the preservation of these funds for the purpose of which they were targeted for. We cannot allow this, that should be on the front page of the New York Times, this money grab is what it is, and we can't allow it to happen. I have my neck all the way out on this. I've guaranteed in the press it's not going to happen, but I can't do that by myself. As much as I try, sometimes, we're going to need your help. We're going to need your help with every single legislator, most importantly, the Republican legislators, to impress. I spoke at a housing forum in Huntington County just a couple of weeks ago. I mean, those are the folks who have to get on the Kip Batemans of the world, the Tom Caines of the world, to impress upon them that this money cannot be used for purposes of affordable housing. So, to talk a little bit about my legislation, it is the single most important economic development tool for this state to possibly have. Because foreclosed homes, abandoned, unoccupied, boarded up homes are more than just a foreclosed, unoccupied, boarded up home. It drags down the property values of the entire neighborhood. And Chairman Bernanke, the Federal Reserve Chairman, has said repeatedly that every single recession that America has had over the past century has rebounded by the housing market taking the lead. Well, the housing market can't take the lead as long as there is this, what's called the foreclosure overhang. There are tens of thousands of foreclosed homes already in the state. There are tens of thousands more that are going to happen within the next year or two. Until those foreclosures are turned into transformed into occupied housing, our economy is going to drag behind the rest of the nation. Governor Christie likes to talk about New Jersey comeback. Well, we're coming back because the country's coming back. Thank President Obama, if I don't say so myself. Because the country's coming back, but we are behind every other state in our region. We're coming back behind New York, behind Pennsylvania, behind Delaware, behind Connecticut, behind, we're in that group, we're trailing behind. And I don't like New Jersey to trail behind in anything. I was at the Bruce Springsteen concert at Madison Square Garden, and he opened. He was introduced to New York, New York, as he was playing in Madison Square Garden. A great song, and he talked about all the great things that New York had. And what a great state New York is. They have the Statue of Liberty. But of course, the Statue of Liberty is located in New Jersey. But they're the home of the world champion New York football Giants, who play in the state of New Jersey. And of course, the crowd was mixed, half New Jersey, and so it was lots of fun. And he says, but there's one thing you cannot take away from the state of New York and the city of New York. The theme songs, the best theme song of any city in the world. New York, New York, right? Sung by a guy who was born in New Jersey. Hoboken. So, Hoboken, exactly. So, I don't like New Jersey to be behind in anything, least of all job creation and economic development. So this proposal is patterned after the Savings and Loan Resolution Trust Corporation. When, you gotta listen to, by the way, Bruce Springsteen's Jack of all trades. Reminds me of my dad. But, he says, it's happened before and it'll happen again. So, the robber barons get their way. They got their way when the trust company had to bail out the savings and loans. That was in the 80s. But we had to do it. Just like President Obama had to, quite frankly, bail out some bad words. Not for those automobile workers in Detroit who now have made GM the most profitable auto company in the world. So, I digress. I digress. But, so that, the Resolution Trust Company had to grab all these assets because banks are just going to sit on, they don't know what to do with it. They're not in the realty business. They're not in the rehab business. They're not in the redevelopment business. They should be in the lending business. So this is a low priority for them, but it's a high priority for the state of New Jersey and our economy. And why not use this as a vehicle to provide for the affordable housing needs of our residents? We couldn't have a better way to do it. And the Housing Mortgage Finance Agency, which is a well-regarded agency, has done this sort of financing for years. They can finance portfolios bought by community development corporations like Lewis is the executive director of, and or Elizabeth, or any town. Buy portfolios at 40 cents on the dollar, 30 cents on the dollar. Rehab them, deed restrict them, and provide for the affordable housing needs of that community. And that will not only provide for the affordable housing needs, but it will lift up the property values of the entire neighborhood. It will have a positive impact on crime, because a boarded up abandoned home is an invitation for vandalism. I've always felt, even when I had some differences with some of the folks in this room about the affordable housing issue, I've always believed that the most important thing is to rebuild neighborhoods and to work with local community development corporations to do that. Because not only can you provide for affordable housing, but you can provide for these services that are necessary, the daycare, the job training, the counseling, right, David? You know that very well, what you do here in Rahway. So, yeah, this is a great bill. I'm not underestimating it. This can lead the way for the economic recovery of the state of New Jersey. We just need to convince the governor, which is going to, no pun intended, it's going to be a heavy lift. But hope springs eternal. Number one, stop the money grab. Don't let them take the affordable housing money and use it to give a tax break to the wealthiest people in the state of New Jersey. Don't let them do it. I'm not going to let them do it. Make sure every other legislator that you can possibly get a hold of doesn't do it either. Number two, let's get this foreclosure problem solved and transform them into affordable housing for our residents. That's it. I gotta run. Any questions? Questions? All right, thank you. Oh, we got a question.
I have a question. I really liked your idea about deed restriction. Is that going to sort of be required throughout your bill? Because that's really good in terms of preservation over time.
Well, without a doubt, the bill is not exclusively for affordable housing, although that's the primary target, and that's what the $275 million will be used, and that stretches. That $275 million will stretch far more in terms of rehabbing these homes and deed restrict them than a new affordable home. You can provide 3 affordable units for every one new, and probably even 4. But it's not restricted to that. There are areas where HMFA has to be financial viable, or else people won't buy their bonds. And by the way, I want to make something clear, regardless of what Steve Lonigan from Americans for Prosperity has said, there is no financial obligation to the state of New Jersey. Investors buy HMFA bonds, and if the bonds go bad, that's their problem, that's not the state. But they're not going to go bad because this is a solid program, and they will buy the bond. And if they won't buy the bonds, then the program won't work, but they will, because we've seen it happen. It's happened before. There's a track record here. So the program will be for both market rate housing and affordable housing. But of course, with affordable housing, you get a bigger bang for the buck, because you're providing for a great need for the people of the state of New Jersey.
Senator, could you explain the provision of an expedited foreclosures for vacant
Sure.
buildings in your bill?
Sure, and it has to be a vacant building. But again, if a boarded up foreclosed home is a drag on a neighborhood, a boarded up home that hasn't gone through foreclosure is a bigger drag. So the quicker we can get these unoccupied homes through the foreclosure process and into this program or any other program, any other community development program, again, the better it will be for the economy of the state of New Jersey, the better it will be for your organizations that can use this as an asset rather than a detriment to the community. So this will allow, if it's unoccupied, the foreclosure, because the foreclosure process could take years. And sometimes we want it to take years. But now when it's unoccupied, when that's already been settled, then we need to get it going and improve it and improve the neighborhood. That's an important, critical part of the bill. Thank you. You all know about Steve Lonigan, Americans? You don't want to talk about him, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's not give him any more than he's worth. We've dismissed him. We have a great letter, by the way, from the ARC. He doesn't seem to think that handicapped people and disabled veterans and other folks need affordable homes, and he doesn't want them into his neighborhood. And we haven't seen such bigotry in this state of this country since the 60s. So enough said about that. We'll dismiss him. Well, let me leave on a positive note. When's your lobbying day?
June 7th.
June 7th. I'll be there fighting with you. Okay.
Senator, it's always thank you, Senator, for coming. I think it's noteworthy that we have 2 key leaders in the housing field right here in Union County, Senator Lesniak and Assemblyman Green. It's no accident that they're both here in Union County, and obviously they're here. We have access to them. We support, the network supports their bill. It's all part of the neighborhood stabilization program. And, I don't want to exaggerate this problem, but there was press reports this past week about a rash of fires throughout New Jersey, and I can't help but think that the vacant and abandoned properties and the housing crisis that's occurring is somehow contributory to the public safety problems that express themselves sometimes as crime, sometimes as fires, and these are crucial issues for people like you in the room here that are in local government to be aware of. Our next speaker is Diane, the Executive Director of the network. The network has been a leader in the neighborhood stabilization effort, working to get legislation through, working to educate local officials on the importance. We talk about the global credit crisis, but it does come down to neighborhoods. It does come down to the quality of life in our neighborhoods. And Diane's going to talk about the neighborhood stabilization toolkit that the network has put together. Thank you, Diane. Sure.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's great to be here with you today. I want to thank Vito and Juanita Howard from the network staff for her hard work in putting this event together. I guess she's outside the room.
Take pictures.
Oh, she's behind me.
Why didn't you get a camera?
Thanks, Juanita. So you've heard a lot about some of the policy work that the network is involved with at the state level. We're trying to keep our housing dollars and our community development dollars from being taken for other purposes. And also working with Senator Lesniak and other state leaders to get creative responses in place in response to the foreclosure crisis and other pressing challenges in the state. So my job today is to talk about another body of work that we're involved with, which is working with communities to help put state tools that we've developed over the last 10 years to work to reclaim problem properties and restore them to productive use at the local level. So over the last 10 years, we've gotten a number of pieces of legislation passed that are enabling bills at the state level that then have to be implemented at the local level to make a difference in people's lives. One of these was the Abandoned Properties Rehabilitation Act, which some of you have probably heard of, some of you have probably used. I know some of you are using. We'll hear from a couple of them later. That was passed in 2004, and the creditor responsibility law that was passed a couple of years ago. Both of those laws provided new tools to reclaim problem properties, and when you combine them with the neighborhood revitalization tax credit, which provides seed money to help get properties back into productive use in neighborhood planning context, we have some powerful tools in New Jersey for dealing with these problems. Hopefully, Senator Lesniak will be successful with his bill, and we'll have some additional tools, and our land bank bill will go through too, and that will just add to our toolkit. But since the real estate market collapsed in 2008, these tools have become increasingly important because the number of abandoned and deteriorated properties has increased and has really skyrocketed in many municipalities, including some here in Union County. Municipal governments have less staff to deal with these problems and less resources. So while the problem's getting worse, the local staff capacity to deal with them are getting lower. And there's now thousands and thousands of distressed and abandoned properties in older cities throughout New Jersey, blighting the landscape. The sheer number of properties that are in this condition right now is overwhelming the antiquated systems that municipalities have for dealing with these properties, because these systems were developed decades ago, if not centuries ago, and they haven't been updated really since they were put on the books. And when they were developed, there was not really that kind of problem with, absentee owners and foreclosures and all that kind of thing that there is now. So we've been taking a serious look at how to update those laws and then how to get them rolled out at the local level. Last year, we began partnering with a national organization called the Center for Community Progress to work with individual municipalities and our members, CDCs in those areas, and other community stakeholders to figure out the best ways to put these tools to work in individual municipalities based on what they already have in place. So building on what's going on there already, how do you build on some other tools that will help increase the ability of the municipality to reclaim problem properties, or to get owners to step up and maintain the properties. So sort of two different tracks, and the latter is, of course, the preferred route. And while we've been doing this, we've also been exploring tools from other states that people are using that we could import to New Jersey, like the land banking law that's now in the legislature, and other proposals that we've got coming So at the local level, we've been working with about a dozen municipalities over the last year and a half to help them roll out these tools. We've started having a few meetings here in Union County with a few new municipalities recently. So I'm going to mention a few of the tools to you, and we have on our website a lot more information about these tools. If you're from a municipality and you're really interested in digging into it right away, we've got a few packets that we made up with paper materials for you that you can take home and look at right away. But for anybody that just has a passing interest in this, you can look up on our website and get more information. And then we're lucky to be joined by two people from two different municipalities that are using some of these tools, and it's great to hear how things are unfolding at the local level, because that really gives you a flavor of the power of the tools. So I'm going to mention a few of them. First is the accelerated foreclosure for abandoned properties, accelerated tax foreclosure. Senator Lesniak was talking about a clause in his bill that will accelerate mortgage foreclosures for vacant properties. But there's already a tool in the books for accelerating tax foreclosures for abandoned properties. And it's a provision of the Abandoned Property Rehabilitation Act that, as I mentioned, was passed in 2004, that allows the holders of tax liens to foreclose immediately on abandoned properties rather than waiting the 2 years that are required, that were previously required for owners, for private tax lien holders, or the 6 months that were required by the city. So those are only for abandoned properties. If you're tax liens on occupied properties, you still have to wait the 2 years or 6 months. But this is a really useful tool. It can be used by community development organizations as well as municipalities to go right into foreclosure and speed up the time that it takes to get these properties. The second tool I wanted to mention is something that's becoming really popular right now. It's called Spotlight Eminent Domain. And it's another provision that was made available by the Abandoned Property Rehabilitation Act. It's a surgical condemnation process. It's only available for properties. Yes, Spotlight Eminent Domain. Spotlight Eminent Domain. It's, as I said, another provision of the Abandoned Properties Rehabilitation Act. It's a surgical condemnation process. You can only use on properties that are on a municipality's official abandoned property list, which is available if you pass, it's enabled by a municipal abandoned property ordinance under the Abandoned Properties Rehabilitation Act. This tool can be used for abandoned properties either in or outside of redevelopment areas, and it's the fastest way to gain control of abandoned properties for redevelopment. It has a special appraisal process that can result in a much lower sale price to the end user if the cost of redeveloping the property is close to or more than its after rehab value, or its after new development value, whichever way the property needs to go. So that's an incredible tool. Newark has started using it already. I was in Jersey City yesterday because they're about to start using it on several properties there. So that they can add that to their toolkit. And you'll hear more about that in a few minutes. The other thing that the other tool I wanted to mention is the creditor responsibility law that was passed like the last day of office of Governor Cohen. And that's a provision that requires that lenders that are foreclosing on properties send a notice to the municipal clerk in the municipality where the property is. And if the municipality tracks those properties, once a property becomes vacant during the foreclosure process, you can use your code enforcement powers against the lender, because it makes the lender responsible for maintaining the property. This was a problem. I mean, now that New Jersey's mortgage foreclosure process takes about 3 years, it's a problem because a lot of homeowners move out, during the foreclosure process at some point. So now the municipality can enforce the code enforcement against the lender and the fines and get them to fix it up, or you can put a lien on it, just like you would a homeowner. So we're hoping that tool, some places are starting to use that, we're hoping that tool becomes a big help in preserving homes once that are in foreclosure, so so by the time the foreclosure process is finished, they're not, abandoned and broken up and too expensive to rehab. So so those are all tools that we have descriptions of on our website, and I have them in this package that I have a few of here. As I mentioned, we're hoping to add the land bank and the accelerated mortgage foreclosure tools over the next year, 6 months if we can. And we have some other ideas, and we're interested in ideas from our members and municipalities that have other issues you're trying to deal with, or creative ways to solve these issues too. So we're always looking for new legislative opportunities because we've had some good luck putting some tools in place, but it's never far enough. There's never enough to solve all these issues. So you should let us know if you have ideas for those. Two other things I wanted to mention before introducing our next two speakers. The network has been putting together teams of people from our neighborhood stabilization team, and that includes people from New Jersey Community Capital, represented in the room here today by Jeff Crum, or Capsy, and Alan Malik, who's on our team, and some of the community progress folks. So if you're interested in having a team come out to your municipality to talk about some of the tools and how they apply to your situation, we can send a couple folks out. We've been doing that in a number of cities recently, and it helps them to sort of figure out how to speed up the process. The other thing is that last July we had a community leadership institute for 2 days down in Trenton. It was really good. We had 13 municipalities represented, and we're going to repeat it this year at the end of September 27th and 28th. So if you're interested in getting a notice about that when we get the registration materials ready, you can give us your card today to me or Juanita or Arnold, and we'll put you on the list to get the notice. But it deals with a number of tools and a number of things that people outside the state are doing. So some very creative code enforcement strategies targeted to different types of neighborhood settings and things like that. I think people that went last year got a lot out of it. And it's a good learning vehicle for peer sharing between the municipalities too. We have a number of municipalities now that have great stories to tell about what they're doing right here in New Jersey. And it's a great opportunity for everybody to learn from each other. But the real best way to learn from each other is to have the people that are on the ground doing the work tell you what they're finding as they're applying the tools. So we're very lucky to have representatives here today from two of our partner municipalities to talk with you about what's going on there. First, we have Rodney Hairston, who's the real estate officer for the Jersey City Division of Community Development. And after Rodney walks us through some of his tools, then we're going to hear from Susan Ucci, who's right here from Elizabeth in Union County, and she is the director of Elizabeth's Home Improvement. So thank you very much, and if you want to talk more about this afterwards, I'll be around for a while, and let's hear from Rodney.
If I may, come on, I just wanted to point out if our speaker is too modest to mention it, the Wall Street Journal featured just yesterday the work of Jersey City in terms of some of the innovation that's being done. So we've imported them all the way from Hudson County to come and explain what we can do in Union County. The other thing I just want to make sure we don't forget the tools because the network has been so innovative and so helpful. The Foreclosure Fairness Act, I'm keenly aware that many of you from municipalities. The Foreclosure Fairness Act puts a requirement on your city clerks to register any property that's gone through foreclosure. And if you're not talking, you're a local official, whether it's fire or code enforcement, whatever, you need to have a conversation with your town clerks on the list of properties that are registered, who owns them. They know the foreclosed properties must be registered with your local clerk. So they have addresses. And so this is a leg up for those of you in code enforcement or fire safety to know which properties are in foreclosure, because that list is maintained by your clerk, and it's a resource for you. But I don't want to steal your thunder, Rodney. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. First off, I'd like to thank the network and Diane for giving me the opportunity to talk about what's going on in Jersey City. Normally, my boss, Therese Toon, would make this presentation. However, she's at a convention in Atlantic City. So I will present what we're doing as far as abandoned properties in Jersey City. First off, let me start by saying that's our city hall. It's not an abandoned property. So I just want you to know that. So let me give you the background on what's happening in Jersey City. There are approximately 821 vacant properties in Jersey City. These properties are monitored on an ongoing basis by our code enforcement group. They maintain comprehensive files on all of these vacant properties. These properties are scattered throughout the city. Of course, not to be expected, the highest concentrations are in lower income sections of the city. And these low income sections are most impacted by foreclosures and high-risk loans. The conditions of some of these abandoned properties. Most properties are in need of moderate to substantial rehabilitation. And again, even moderate rehab properties are problem properties because of illegal activities in and out and around these properties. And of course, as Senator Lesniak said, this is certainly going to impact the value of surrounding properties. Some properties are in need to be demolished. The city has budgeted funds to turn these properties into opportunities. Some properties are located in areas where significant federal, state, and local resources have been invested. If you look at the go back 1 second. If you look at the picture directly straight ahead on that picture, it's one of our local high schools. And on this side street, you can see that there are 2 vacant properties just directly on the side of the high school. So, and it's a problem because even at lunchtime or after school, we found that kids congregate around the building, and if there's legal activity going on, it's just an accident waiting to happen. The next few slides are some examples of where significant resources have been invested. Monticello Avenue Main Street is a major corridor that runs into the Martin Luther King Drive in Jersey City. If you look in the top left, you'll see that there's a supermarket. This is a supermarket that's surrounded by vacant properties. If you look directly to the right of the supermarket, there are 2 abandoned properties. In addition, as a matter of fact, last year, the supermarket was also a vacant building. But they invested on Monticello Avenue, and it's a vibrant supermarket right there on the drive. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have been invested in streetscape, the streetscape project on Monticello Avenue. The next one is our Ocean Avenue redevelopment area. There are vacant properties. If you look in the top left, Habitat for Humanity just constructed two single-family homes. But if you look to the left and right, you'll see they're vacant properties. As a matter of fact, we had a roundtable discussion yesterday in Jersey City talking about test casing those 2 properties for spot blight eminent domain. If you look at the bottom right, it's right down the street, it's a Hope 6 project. Next to that, there's an abandoned property. There's a vacant property. And on that property used to be a dry cleaner. We're going to actually clean up that site, and it's going to be redeveloped. This is a picture of an inner city shopping plaza, our Martin Luther King hub. There are clusters of vacant properties around the hub. Several properties have been demolished, and plans are underway to redevelop this area. This particular property is at one of the gateways, the northernmost gateway to the city of Jersey City. It's on the borderline of Jersey City, Union City. Again, we're planning on using this property as one of our test cases for spot blight eminent domain. Here is an abandoned properties map, and if you look directly in the center, that is where the MLK hub is, and you can see there are clusters of vacant properties. But if you look, you'll also see that there are abandoned properties throughout the city, not just in the hub area. So what are some of the things that the city is doing from a code enforcement perspective? Well, first off, the city has created a Mayor's Quality of Life Task Force. This is a collaborative effort. Municipal agencies and divisions, which includes our fire department, police department, code enforcement, community development, public works, the Mayor's Action Bureau, Incinerator Authority, Health and Human Services. Also joining this effort are private organizations such as Public Service Electric and Gas and United Water. The focus of this task force is to close illegal rooming houses and apartments. They address vacant property issues by ensuring the following: securing of property, removal of weeds and debris, removal of squatters and animals, maintenance of quality of life for residents. So what have we done? The City of Jersey City has developed a vacant building registration fee ordinance. This ordinance took effect on October 15, 2011. All property owners have received notices to date. Property owners are required to pay an initial fee of $250 and subsequently $500. So to give the vacant building registration fee ordinance enables the city to obtain relevant information about property owners. It allows the city to issue summonses to owners who fail to register their property. It compels owners to take action to get their property back into use. And it also helps to generate revenue to cover some costs associated with monitoring vacant properties. So here's an update as to where we are since implementing this registration fee ordinance. So far, 441 properties have been registered. This represents a 55% compliance rate thus far. To date, we've collected $110,250. There over 175 summonses have been issued, and right now there are 150 cases pending in court. November 11, 2011, the city published a list of the 40 most egregious abandoned properties. We published a second list of 16 problem properties on April 3rd, 2012. And in the next few weeks, we are preparing to publish a third list. And the initial criteria for selecting properties is that the owner has received significant complaints due to illegal activity, public nuisance. The owner failed to take action in spite of previous city intervention. Some of our additional strategies: we held a great vacant building count on March 8, 2012. This is a collaborative effort between the city and block groups, etc., where we actually went out and canvassed various neighborhoods to look for vacant properties.